What's going on, traders? Sandro O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is June 24th, 2021. Please click the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today, we're going to talk about the price action, the indices. We hit new highs in the NASDAQ and in the S&P 500 today. We're going to go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors. We'll go through some of the trades I took, and we'll go through options order flow as well. Before we get into all that, quick risk disclaimer: nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, let's jump in here. Let's take a look at the markets for today. Quick box scores. I'm recording this later. I was on a Twitter Spaces with a bunch of other traders, so this is actually coming out as the futures are already open. So let me minimize this. And I'm going to try not to let what the futures are doing bias my commentary here. Yeah, S&P 500, we closed at a new high. This is a little candle from the overnight futures. We closed at a new all-time high. Nothing bearish about that. We're above all the key moving averages. Now, though, we are getting a little bit extended from this 5-day EMA. But even this 20-day, it's not really like we're super extended. We're not super extended from the 50-day either. So this is just a pretty nice breakout here. Isn't it crazy what a few days can do for the market? Look at these four candles and then look at these four. This is like night and day, complete reversal here. I see a market's looking very positive. We had a couple things hitting the tape today. So one was the infrastructure bill. You know, there's an agreement on the infrastructure bill. I believe it's like $573 billion. And the market responded positively to it. Box scores for today: SPY was up 0.59%. The NASDAQ QQQ was up 0.62%. The IWM small caps are up 1.41%. And the Dow Jones was up 0.94%. Let's jump over to our NASDAQ. Go to the NQ here. And NASDAQ, so this was interesting. We are super bullish on NASDAQ. We have been for about a month now. You know, this has been awesome. I've been trading a lot of these growth names. And now you can see in the NASDAQ, we are getting a bit extended. So we're very extended from this 20-day. We're also a bit extended from this 5-day EMA. And you can also see today was like a euphoric day in the markets. Like I was seeing people on social media going crazy, like hit this entry, hit that entry, bought this, bought that. I was seeing like growth investors like, oh yeah, my portfolio is doing well again. It's like when that's happening and I see the market's getting a little bit extended, that's always for me like, okay, I see the risk reward and the trend is still positive, so I'm still long, but it definitely makes me consider like how long options do I want to be, or you know, short-term risk, that kind of thing. Because really where I would like to add some risk is, hey, maybe we got to pull back to this 5-day EMA. Then I want to be able to add risk if we hit that. Or let's say we pull back to the 20-day. Do I want to be like stopping out of longs at the 20-day? No, I don't want to. That's where I'd like to be loading up on longs. So yeah, it's important for me that I took a couple things off the table during today's session. Russell, this is a nice little move here. So, you know, I've been talking about the Russell's been range bound for the past couple months. Now we're making another attempt. Could this be the one where we actually break out? I think everyone in the market would be so shocked if that happened, myself included. Like if we just got like a huge ignite bar in the Russell tomorrow and we were at like 2,400, that would definitely be, you know, definitely the happy path. Definitely something that, you know, like I said, I don't think many would expect. But we are a little bit extended from that 5-day EMA, so maybe we just kind of consolidate our flag out a little bit here. And the other thing too, I think the Russell and the Dow Jones were definitely benefited by this infrastructure bill. Dow Jones, a really nice candle here as well. We just cleared the 50-day simple moving average. So now next we have this monthly point of control up ahead of us at 34,228. So yeah, looking good for the Dow Jones as well. Let's jump over here and we'll pull up our crypto. Because crypto, I do have exposure to crypto. And yeah, take a look. So the crypto market is coming to life here. You can see we're getting a bounce in Bitcoin. We had some crazy shakeouts in Bitcoin the past couple days. Like I said 2 days ago, I almost paper-handed all of my crypto exposure. But luckily I did not. And then, yeah, Ethereum, you can see not quite as strong as Bitcoin, but also getting a bit of a bounce. So let's jump under the hood here. We'll check out our market breadth. Market breadth is positive for the day. Market breadth was awesome. 75% on the S&P 500, 85% on the NASDAQ. And you can see 82% on the small caps and 93% on the Dow. The other thing too, the banks, we just got the results for their stress tests in the after hours. And apparently, the results were fine. These banks are going to start their dividend and buyback payments up again. So as I look at that, I'm like, hey, the Dow Jones is getting some relative strength. The Dow Jones does have some of the banks in it. Could this actually mean we could get some, Dow Jones and small cap outperformance over tech? That's sort of where my head is at. That could be coming down the pipe. The Finviz heat map. So let's take a look here. Really strong breadth once again. The one problem child here was Amazon. And I actually had coming into today an Amazon call spread on. I had the 3590 by 3600 call spread. And check out what happened here. So Amazon basically did the wrong thing. So if you look at these past couple attempts at making new all-time highs, it was like solid attempt. Then we had some red bars come in and this thing fell apart. Solid attempt, same thing, this thing fell apart. Solid attempt, same thing, more red bars, this thing fell apart. Now this to me looks like solid attempt, and this is the first red bar. So I stopped out of my call spread because I was like, what happens if, we got this huge range? The Qs, look, Qs were positive. So on a day when the Qs are up 0.62%, Amazon, in my opinion, really should not be putting in a candle like this. So I stopped out, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. And what was kind of interesting, this is pretty cool actually, is that shortly after we got a headline that said Amazon's Prime Day sales were soft compared to 2020, Bank of America says. So it's actually pretty cool. A lot of times, just by following price action, you can essentially be reacting to headlines before they even come out. Because that's exactly what I was doing today. I traded it, and I was like, this is weak for whatever reason. I'm just going to step aside. And the headline came out. So really interesting stuff. But yeah, Amazon was like the one that really did not do well. Tesla was up 3.54% today. Let's check out Tesla. Yeah, this one, not really the best candle, but yeah, nice advance. I day traded this one yesterday. And then, yeah, you can see the banks are pretty strong. Industrials, a lot of those names. One, Blake from the Twitter spaces that I was in, he pointed out Boeing. Boeing actually looks very interesting heading into the rest of the week, for sure. But when I do my homework tonight, I'll be scanning for a lot of these more like value names. Let's jump into our sectors. And you'll see the ARK ETF up 1.42% is in our top slot for momentum. ARK W is up 2.22%. Yeah, we have 3 ARK funds that are at the top here. And then what performed very well today? KWEB. Chinese internet names were up 2.45%. The YOLO Cannabis ETF was strong. So we had a lot of different groups that were very strong. Blockchain names. And these semis were also pretty strong. Check these guys out. So I'll flip up to KWEB and then also the semis. KWEB. This could end up becoming a wedge pop setup. But typically every time the Chinese internet names have tried to do this, it's always they have a really nice run up and then they just implode. Like literally, like it'll be like just massive gap down and they just go right back to their lows. Yeah, you can see here we have this like double bottom setup going on. See, I'll be looking at this group tomorrow as well. And then the semis. If you look at the socks, very close to a breakout to new highs. So we'll also be looking at that group. Let's jump over to So we have our sectors, style factors. And you'll see what I mean by maybe some rotation. Top style factor for the day was cyclicals. So that's a change. You can see the cyclicals now are at the middle of our list. And what else was at the top of the list? We had high beta up 1.08%. Momentum was up 1.25%. So yeah, the growth momentum was still strong, but this is day one of cyclicals really reasserting themselves. So let's jump over to some of my trades for the day. And I made a lot of adjustments today. So I took in my net Cloudflare common shares. I had paid $90.35 for those, closed them out for a 104.97. So that was a nice trade for me. And net, this thing just got so extended. Look at this. So like this was an awesome trade. So where I entered, and this just goes to show, sometimes you can enter at the all-time highs and you're really not late. Now I believe I entered on this doji candle right here. This ended up being a nice trade. I took in the remaining half of this today. Just because I started to see that rotation, and just from the experience in February and March, when a rotation occurs, I want to make sure that I'm rotating with it, or at least taking profits or not initiating like a bunch of new positions. And then this triple D. Close this one out for a scratch. It was actually a 3-cent loser. But triple D, this one actually looks pretty good into the close. So not really that bad. But again, I just wanted to take in some exposure to the growth names. Because ARC, if you look at it, it's the top momentum name. But this one also looks pretty extended. And you know the top was sold. And there was some profit taken there. So let's see, we had that. So we had those two for stock trades. And then I was a bit more active in terms of options. So SE. This one, I was waiting for a breakout. I'd mentioned it a couple times in these videos. This one looks so primed. It looks so textbook. And we ended up getting the breakout, not as strong as a close as I would have liked. But I closed out my SE 280 strike calls for $17.20. I'd paid $12 for those. And then I rolled out, I rolled up to a higher strike and out in time. So I rolled out to August and the 300 strike for $18.15. I took that in later in the day for $19. So yeah, I had a nice winner here, rolled it out, and had a nice, smaller winner on the roll. I took some Playboy options for a lotto trade. Playboy looks kind of interesting here. This company got an analyst upgrade with a $52 price target. And this name closed at $39.57. Let's look at the hourly chart. So this is really what I'm looking at here. We have this weekly value area high at $39.96. Looks like we closed right on that on the nose. But if we break out above this weekly value area, then we have, this 42 target ahead of us. What else do we have? Yeah, we have this monthly value area low here at 41.73. So yeah, I took some short-term July calls on Playboy, just like a little flyer. And then closed out my FSR, Fisker, for essentially a scratch, small winner, 9-cent winner. I closed out my Amazon call spread, as I was saying earlier. And I just put here, this price action is a warning sign, could certainly continue higher, but sound process tells me to stop out of this position. Can always revisit later. I'm actually really pumped that I stopped out of this one. Like sometimes when you're a trader, there's always the portrayal of trading on social media, which is, you win every trade and, like everybody's a winner all the time. The reality is that's so far from the truth. I say this all the time, but trading is the same as playing basketball. What's your free throw percentage? What's your field goal percentage? Playing baseball, what's your batting average? Any sport, I used to play tennis. What's your first serve percentage, etc. Everyone has stats. Like it's not a game of perfection. So really the best traders, it's not about like, I pick stocks and they go up. Anyone can do that, especially in a bull market. Anyone can do it. That's the easiest part about trading. The hardest part about trading is acknowledging when you're wrong and changing your mind. So this was, a big step for me that I was like, I see the first sign of weakness, I'm out of this call spread. So I took this one off for $1.80. I'd paid $2.95 for this one. And then the other trade that I did, I diagonalized my Twitter calls. So I have my 55 strike January 2022 calls. And just in case we get some consolidation or a bit of rotation, I sold the 75 strike calls against it for July. So I took in 64 cents for that. I lowered my cost basis. And Twitter, this has been one of my best trades here. Twitter, check it out. So we hit this R2 pivot level. This has been a really nice month for Twitter. We took out that VPOC yesterday, so we're just moving and grooving in Twitter. But yeah, I sold the 75 strikes. And if it gets up to 75 by July 16th, that'll be, a really good problem to have. But that's all my trades for today. Let's go through our options order flow real quick. And let's take a look here. We'll go to our Tradescape. So we did have some Amazon, it looks like Amazon calls and puts. Tesla, a lot of options coming in. Look at all these. So for 2022, July 650s, short-term, long-term stuff. There was just a lot of activity in this name today. And then we have our NASDAQ calls. I see we had a little bit of SE. Ford. Let's take a look at what Ford is doing. So we had 12 strike calls coming in for September and 13 strikes for September. Let's see how Ford did. Ford. Yeah, down 1.04%. This is kind of like a weird pattern it's putting in. I don't know. We're riding that 20-day moving average higher. Yeah, this one not really actionable for me, but we'll see what it does. And then I see some PayPal, Visa, little activity in Workday. See what this player did. They bought. Okay, so I see a lot of VIX activity. These are the 20 strike calls they bought. 30 strike calls for August. And some puts as well. Let's see what the VIX did today. Yeah, the VIX pretty much died. Went down to 14.19. So that's super low. That gets us back to where we were trading on the VIX before coronavirus. But you can see we were bid back up from those lows. So that's another reason why I took my foot off the gas a little bit today. Just because we have that little sign of, I love entering positions on candles like this in the VIX. Where it's like, all right, we're about to have the crush. Now it's like towards the tail end of the crush, it looks like. That about does it for our options order flow. That is coming to you via VigTech. And that about does it for this market recap video as well. Hope you all had an awesome trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow.